the record, please, first for the plaintiff.
Good morning. Sorry.
Your Honor, my name is Mr. Brian Green.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Frank Cornelius for case one.
Good morning. So, this is on for the PRA scheduling conference. This is not the first rodeo for these for either attorney here today. So you know the drill. We are to just cover the basics to make sure there isn't any need for any more active management of this case and to set a schedule for this. Based on my review of the complaint, I'll articulate what I think makes sense, but you all know the case better than I do at this point, so you'll let me know if I've gone astray at all. This relates to Mr. Green's request for records relating to an incident in Pierce County and the denial of that appears to be a fairly discrete legal issue, at least based on how it's articulated in the complaint. I don't envision this being a situation where much discovery is necessary or even necessarily in-camera review based on the nature of the denial and the request. It also doesn't seem like there's going to be a need for injunctive relief or any additional parties added to this case. And so I view this as simply a standard bifurcated case where we address whether there's a violation, and if we pass that hurdle, then we get to what the penalties and fees would be. But I will turn it over to first Mr. Thomas to let me know if I've gone astray at all.
Thank you, Your Honor. No, I don't think this court has gone astray at all. In fact, I agree with this court's analysis, but I would like to add something to that. This centers around the statute RCW 5.68.010, and I think it's subsection 5. And that deals with the definition of news media in Washington. The Public Records Act relies upon that statutory definition of news media. To plaintiff's knowledge, there has been no published case in Washington dealing with what the definition of news media is under the statute. And so we believe that it would be a threshold issue in this case because it would be an issue of first impression to first define what news media is and then to go to the merits briefing.
And so I'm envisioning this as something we could address at the same time. I agree that there is that important issue, but it seems like we could have a briefing that addresses that as well as any other issues that remain. Mr. Cornelius?
I would agree with the court. I don't think that there is a need for any kind of early determination. I think the issue as to the definition of news media goes to the merits. So I don't think there's a need for a separate determination.
So when do the parties think that we could be ready for an opening brief in this case? I'm looking at Mr. Thomas because that falls upon him.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's too early for us to give a definitive answer because defendants still haven't even filed or served an answer yet in this lawsuit. So plaintiffs are left wondering, or plaintiff is left wondering what their defenses are, what facts they're going to challenge, and what's basically going to happen in this case.
Well, let's cut to the chase. Based on my read from the complaint, it seems somewhat apparent to me that this is not going to be presenting anything that hasn't already been presented in the denial of the public records request. But again, this is up to the defendant in this case.
We're still looking at the complaint, Your Honor, but on its face, the exemption that was claimed is what's at issue in this case.
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to assume that there's not going to be any additional complex issues. And then I'll ask you to be a little more generous in how much time you'll need. And if something presents itself in the meantime, you are of course welcome to seek leave from the court for additional time to file your opening brief, and we can move the merits hearing. But at this point, I'd like to set a date for the merits hearing, and we can back out the dates from that. So with that request, Mr. Thomas, what works for you?
I think plaintiff would be willing to do something on the merits in maybe early March. I think that's around the date that I don't have the email in front of us, but I think that's around the date.
We did have a brief communication, Your Honor. I was thinking for merits briefing sometime maybe middle April. Only because of consideration involving discovery.
Understood. So I'm going to go in the middle here and say March 29th makes sense to me.
Thank you.
And so again, this goes for the defendant as well. If discovery ensues and there is a need for additional time, of course, that'll be something that the court will entertain. But at this point, again, I think that March 29th at 9 o'clock on the dispositive motion calendar is a fair time to set this for. And I'll allow the parties under the local rules to back out when those dates are that the briefs would be required. This will be under the summary judgment local rule for that dispositive motion briefing. The order that I'll ask the parties to work together to draft doesn't really need to say a whole lot more beyond setting those dates. We've had this conversation. I will remember this conversation if someone later says, wait, we agreed to something else. If you want to memorialize this, that's fine if you want to put other things in there. But if there's a dispute about something, I don't want this noted up for presentation. I think the dates are non-controversial. If you agree that you want something else in that order, I'm fine to entertain that, but I would like this order submitted ex parte. And so, again, I don't need presentation of this order. It can be submitted ex parte after you all agree to the mathematical calculation of when the briefs are due. If you agree that you would like to have something else in there memorialized, I don't think it's necessary, but I'm not going to object to that. But if there's any dispute about things either side wants and the other side doesn't, let's not do that. Let's just get the scheduling order in and we'll go from there. Anything else I can do for you this morning?
No, that's it, Your Honor.
Great, and so I look forward to receiving that order. Thank you very much, and have a good weekend.